Hey, it's me, Vicky Marie. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you are in this crazy world we're living in. So, how are you this Saturday? If you're watching this live, it's Saturday morning here in Spain, where I'm based. It's 9 minutes past 11. I'm a little bit late as usual. It is 30 degrees already. It is scorchio here in Spain. Having said that, it's not too humid, so it's not too bad. I was out this morning early with the dogs. It was beautiful. 6:30, 7 o'clock in the morning. It was so fresh, lovely. And then I popped to the shops, got everything done, settled, prepared my life, and just sort of did stuff around the house. But while it's early, now that's it now for me. After I've finished this live, it'll be lunch, then it'll be siesta time, then it'll be take number one son to work, then it'll be I don't know after that. Depends how awake I am. But I can't make any plans for the evenings. Only the mornings that I can get things done. So I think I've got a very interesting live for you today. Hopefully all my lives are interesting, but we're going to talk about three things, aren't we? The things that we're going to talk about actually in the video. And bear in mind, if you don't like waffle in the lives, there's always a lot of waffle. So if you don't like the waffle, the best thing you can do is after I've done the live, I will be splitting this video into these three parts, into individual videos, shorter videos with no waffle. And you might be better to wait for those. But these are the things that we're going to be talking about. We're going to be talking about Travis Decker. So, of course, recently we had that Devil's Den murderer who a lot of people thought was Travis Decker. We discussed it. Was it possible that might have been Travis Decker, this father, that went missing after allegedly murdering his own three daughters, these beautiful girls, Peyton, Olivia and Evelyn. And he disappeared. And then with the Devil's Den's murders, there was some conjecture. We talked about it, but also something that I'm going to show you today. The sheriff that is dealing with this case of Travis Decker who's gone missing, he said they had a lot of people contacted them and they looked into whether it could possibly have been Travis Decker. Anyway, it wasn't Travis Decker, but there's been a possible sighting of him. Another one, I don't know about these sightings. The thing is, as we saw from the Devil's Den murderer, these guys on the trail, they all look really similar. It'd be easy to think it was Travis Decker, got a bit of a beard, wearing a baseball cap, carrying a rucksack, whatever. Could, see them from a distance. Yeah, could always be Travis Decker. Anyway, we're going to look at that, what the sheriff says about it. The sheriff is also saying that it's possible that Travis Decker might be getting help from someone. That's another possibility, because how has he been 2 months without being any trace of him? Or is it, I personally think he's deceased, but where? I have no idea. And they've searched high and low, for either him alive or dead, and he hasn't turned up. So he could be out there alive somewhere. Somebody could be helping him. So we're going to look at what the sheriff had to say about that. I felt like there was something else about Travis. Anyway, yeah, we're going to look and see what the sheriff has had to say about the sightings, possible sightings. Is someone trying to help him? Who would you think? God, who would help him? But you'll see that the sheriff says there are people out there that will help people like this. That's what we're going to look at. I'm trying to think which order we get. We're going to start off, though, by looking at this dog, Benji, and his owner. They are the people. This is in Australia. So, of course, Travis Decker has disappeared from Washington State. I think it was Washington State, one of the Washingtons in the USA. In Australia, we're going to Julian's story. This poor guy who was killed by his reality TV girlfriend and decapitated. And then for quite a long time, the police could not find his head. And they'd sort of given up searching. But then his head was found by Benji, this dog. So we're going to have a look at the interview with the dog owner and the dog. And, you know, I know it's still horrible, isn't it, at the end of the day? Julian is dead, and but thank God that they have found his head, because I think that out of any part of the body to be missing, you know, his funeral's coming up in a week or so, and at least now Julian's family will be able to bury him with dignity, with respect, a whole person. And it's thanks to this dog, Benji. So we're going to have a look at that interview. And then we're going to have a look at this Poisner pensioner. I mean, this is the most bizarre case. This is in the UK. This guy from Nottingham, Jonathan Rubin, he's the one that poisoned the children at the Christian summer camp. He's involved in a charity that helps disadvantaged children, apparently. But he's now been charged with causing harm, not attempted murder. So maybe it seems that he wasn't actually trying to kill them. I don't know. Does it make any difference? But of 3 boys. So he's been charged with the poisoning with intent to harm of 3 young boys. Now this guy's 76 years old. I know it shouldn't matter. I mean, you know, as we've said, twonks are twonks, whichever way you look at it, they don't grow out of it. But to me, then I think, is this the first time he's ever done anything bad? You know, do you get to 76 being nice to people, part of a Christian charity, and then suddenly you try and poison 3 children? Or we didn't try and poison them, allegedly. He actually poisoned them. In fact, there were quite a lot. There were more. There were 8 children that had to go to hospital. There was 1 adult. Now, why they've only charged him for 3, I don't know. Maybe that they're the only ones that came up positive in the tests. But why did he do it? You know, I get a really sinister feel about this whole thing, this charity. It's like, reminds me of like Jimmy Savile type vibes that I get off it. You know, unfortunately, predators, what they do is, you know, they seek out the vulnerable, don't they, in society. And apparently this Christian charity is to give disadvantaged children opportunities. So what easier way than find victims than to do that? What better way is there? So I'm not saying, you know, we don't know that that's true. This guy, maybe he's, you know, maybe he is like, you know, a saint. I don't know. He's not been found guilty yet. It's all alleged. But it looks sinister. And I know you can't go by looks, but do you know what I mean? You can. It looks so. First thing when I saw his picture, I thought, ooh. Anyway, you know, we'll see. Now, of course, it will go quiet now because the investigation and the preparation for the conviction, the court case, etc., will be going on. So we probably won't get much more information about this Poisner pensioner. We probably won't get a lot more information about him, but we're going to talk about him today and what we do know and just what the circumstance is. I'm trying to think which order to do it. Oh, and stay watching right to the end. I might do him second, actually. We're definitely going to start with Benji. Then I might look at the Poisner pensioner and then talk about the Travis Decker stuff because it's a longer thing. But I want you to stay tuned right to the end, because at the end I'm going to lighten the mood a little bit, because obviously after we've talked about all these twonks, we're going to need some light relief, aren't we? And I just want to show you this. So this is something I came across. And this is what we're going to look at the end. Now, make of that as you will. This is from a YouTube channel that talks about neighborhood wars. We've watched a few videos and the members about this. Now, we're going to look at this. Now, honest to God. Now, maybe I should start a poll. What do you think this is about? Because just make of it what you will. Take a long, hard look. Pardon the expression. You know, when we talk about it being a crazy world, it really is a crazy world, isn't it? There's some very strange people out there. Now, you know, this guy's not a murderer, but and in fact has done no harm to anybody. So what is he doing? What do you think he's doing? Answers on a postcard, please. We're going to look at that right at the end to try and lighten the mood after we've talked about all these other more serious things. Okay, so hello, lovely lurkers. Thank you so much for watching. Hello, loathsome lurkers. Hello, replay crew. And I've forgotten to say my thanks. And thank you to everybody who supports my channel. Thank you for watching. Thank you for liking. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you so much, especially to my members. Thank you to those of you who bought me a Ko-fi, sent me a super sticker, PayPal'd me, or sent me a nice email, gone a little bit further than just watching. Thank you. But just watching is good. Okay, let's take the banner off. And now I'm going to come into the chat, have a look at who's brave enough to come into the chat. Hi, David. Hi, Lily. Hi, Darren. Hi, Heather. We missed you, yeah, on Thursday. Hi, Daniel. We thought you'd be at a concert or a show or something, Heather. We know you like those. Hi, Lily. Yeah, David had to dance without you, Heather. He had to dance without you. You're going to see Lulu soon. Yes, David, is your mankini like that? Wasn't you, was it, David? It wasn't you, was it? Thank you, Lily. Thank you. Yeah, I'm on the yellow nails at the moment. I've got to change them soon. So, first of all, we're going to talk about this little doggy, Benji. Now, this case, of course, very sad. It doesn't make things better for the family of Julian. Julian was murdered, allegedly, by his girlfriend, a reality star from, what is it, Beauty and the Geek she was on. She's definitely this Tamika Chesser. I think there's definite mental health issues here. And I mean real mental health issues, not just that she's going to be saying she's got mental health issues. I think she genuinely has, for, you know, whatever reason, some sort of mental break. And unfortunately, you know, Julian was the victim of it. And she allegedly killed Julian, decapitated him, set his body on fire, and set off to dispose of his head. And his head had not been found. In the end, the police called off the search. His family were preparing for his funeral, preparing to bury him without his head, because you can't wait forever, I suppose, to bury somebody. You know, although obviously, as I say, finding Julian's head does not bring him back, does not make things right, but it must feel better to know that he's being buried together, you know, his whole body together. It's got to be better than the alternative, hasn't it? So So, yeah, now the police called off the search, and as seems often happens, as soon as police call off a search, people turn up, don't they? Or things turn up that the police were looking for. Strange that, isn't it? But maybe it's because, I mean, at the end of the day, the police can't look everywhere, can they? Or they can look and they could literally ahead. It's a small thing, isn't it? At the end of the day. And you know, they could walk past it, not find it, though they were out with dogs. Anyway, it transpires they were not looking at this area where Julian's head has been found was not an area that the police had looked at. So no wonder they didn't find him, really, because, you know, they never looked in that area anyway. So luckily, a dog walker was out with his two dogs, and one of his dogs, Benji, found Julian's head. So we're going to have a look, first of all, to start with, we're going to have a look at the interview with him. Now, I just want to put his picture up in the corner there while we're talking about him. And there's him with a dog. It looks like a golden retriever. So he's obviously an animal lover. There's always a dog, isn't it? I always say that about, you know, whenever I do a crime story of any kind, there's always a dog involved in it somewhere. You know, whether it's the victim's dog, the perpetrator's dog, or the perpetrator's horrible to dogs or does something to dogs. There's always a dog in the story, isn't there? So, you know, there's Julian with his dog, or, you know, at some point in his life, he's had a dog, or he's had experience with dogs, relationships with dogs. I don't know if it's his dog or somebody else's dog, but you know what I mean? There's always a dog. That's what I always say whenever I'm looking at a case, there's always a dog. And in this case, and in lots of other cases, dogs are often so important, aren't they, to cracking cases, to resolving cases, whether it be a police dog, or how often is it a dog walker who finds people's remains, or if not their remains, you know, evidence, etc. Dogs come into play so often, don't they? And now, of course, dogs don't only detect remains, you know, they can detect SIM cards and all sorts of things. You know, they're so clever and they're so important to solving crimes, aren't they? So let's have a look at this video of Benji and how he helped at least to give Julian's family. So that must be, you know, and you know yourself, if you might, it's horrible to imagine your loved one might be murdered, but if then you find out they've been actually dismembered, and then this part of their body missing, it must be a relief of some kind, at least, you know, that Julian will be buried as a whole person, as he lived. He lived as a whole person. He should be buried as a whole person.
A walker has told of his surreal find, his dog stumbling across human remains in Port Lincoln Scrub, the missing piece in a murder investigation. Julian Story's family tonight awaiting forensic testing to confirm it is his skull that was uncovered by an unsuspecting local weeks after he was...
Oh, Heather, thank you so much. I'm just going to put my thank you up. That's very kind. Thank you for the Ko-fi. Thank you. Do you know what I should get was a thank you, gracias, as well for my Spanish channels, of course. People will be watching from the Spanish channel as well. Gracias, Heather. Right, sorry, I'll get back to the video now. In fact, I'll put it to the beginning again, I think. It's only a short video.
A walker has told of his surreal find, his dog stumbling across human remains in Port Lincoln Scrub, the missing piece in a murder investigation. Julian Story's family tonight awaiting forensic testing to confirm it is his skull that was uncovered by an unsuspecting local weeks after he was allegedly killed by his reality TV star girlfriend.
It was meant to be just a regular walk for Tyson McCullum and his dogs, but it was while walking through this reserve yesterday that Benji, the Beagalier, cracked a murder case.
Pretty surreal, to be honest. I just went in a bit closer and...
Well, beagles are, aren't they? Hunting dogs, really, aren't they? They're known for that. And it's funny how dogs are different. And that's funny. What was it you, Lily, that was saying, is that on Vera? Dog walkers should be on the payroll, yeah. And I've got to admit, when I go out with my dogs, I always think, because of the true crime that I'm interested in and that, I'm always thinking, oh, my God, you know, when the dogs go off to sniff something, you think, oh, God, I hope it's not a body, you know. But it's funny because, you know, I've got two dogs. I've got Rocky and Riley. And Riley, the white one, let me just put... let me do... I'm going to put the... so this is Riley. Yeah. Now, he's more for rabbits. He sniffs rabbits. Oh my God, that's it. He's off. That's why he can't be let off his lead ever, because he just won't come back till he's absolutely exhausted. But it's really only rabbits that he goes for. I don't know. He doesn't seem to bother, like if, you know, if this food, you know, how people throw food or whatever. Rocky, however, he'll go after anything that smells. So I think if any of them was going to ever find a body, it'd probably be Rocky. But I don't know. Now I worry about him when he goes off sniffing, because you try and eat whatever it is, because he's like obsessed with food. Whereas Riley will bring you whatever it is. He's one of those. So, you know, did bring a rabbit. He's only ever brought me a rabbit once, because he's only ever caught one once. And this rabbit, it was only a baby, and it was poorly. It was obvious. It was clearly poorly. And I just had to sit with it then till it died. I mean, it sounds ridiculous. So there I am at the campo. He comes up with this little baby rabbit in his mouth. Now, it's not him who's killed it, because he doesn't bite down on it. It was poorly, you know, you could see that it was, and then of course the shock of getting picked up with Riley, by Riley, probably nearly finished it off. So I had to sit there and comfort it. I didn't have to, but I wanted to. Sit there and comfort it, and then it did pass away, sadly. I mean, it was, you know, I don't know what was wrong with it. It was just one of those things. That's the reason now Riley ended up catching it, because he's chased 1 million rabbits. He never catches one. He starts this high-pitched scream and starts, you know, he's a hunter. He is a proper hunting dog, and that's what he is, a Podenco, and they're bred to hunt, and they're bred to bring the prey to the hunter. So the hunter, you know, would be shooting and trying to flush out. The dogs would flush out the animals, but they don't. It doesn't do anything to them. I forgot why I started saying this now. So yeah, if I was out dog walking and my dogs went off into, like this dog did, you know, he let it off its lead. He let the dog off the lead in that park bit where he was, and one of them just didn't come back. Now, that would be probably be Riley who wouldn't come back, though. He would bring, oh God, Riley would bring it to me. I mean, God, that'd be nice, wouldn't it? Whereas Rocky, I think maybe because he normally comes to you when you call him. So if he didn't come to you when you called him, I would be worried then that there was something. But anyway, I don't know. They've got such a powerful sense of smell, haven't they? And beagles, so these are beagles, and they are, look at that, the dog's face, it's like, oh, I'm famous. It almost seems to know what's going on, doesn't it? Bless it. The famous dog. Anyway, sorry, let's listen to the what the guy's got to say.
Kind of made the connection pretty quickly as to what I thought it was.
Tyson's companions sniffing out what major crime detectives have been searching for weeks, the missing head of murder victim Julian's story.
It was kind of just like, no
Poor
way.
Julian, you know, there he is, and, you know, he was that, what he must have, you know, she's a very attractive woman, you know, maybe he loved her, maybe he knew she had mental health problems, and maybe he tried to help her and it just didn't happen. But, you know, poor Julian, it's a shame.
Julian's story.
It was kind of just like, no way, like it's not what I think it is. Like, no, surely not. But it was just, yeah, too coincidental.
Tyson raised the alarm and a crime scene soon.
Also, do you see how good Benji is there? Just sat on his knee. No?
Tyson raised the alarm and a crime scene soon set up. Police are confident the remains belong to Julian, but forensic testing is still needed to confirm it and give his family some form of peace.
They've obviously been through.
Yeah, my dogs wouldn't just sit on your knee like that. So both my dogs, they'd be barking at the reporters, they'd be jumping up at them, they'd be like, certainly wouldn't just sit there all quiet like that. Oh, God. I've got hooligan dogs.
Yeah, a lot. Can't even imagine it. So to have it, I guess, finalised, they can get some closure, which, yeah, hopefully will bring them some peace.
This a tragic but desperately needed breakthrough. Julian's partner, Tamika Chesser, a former Beauty and the Geek star.
No, it's very sad, isn't it? Because this girl who, I mean, clearly has got mental health issues. You know, what the hell happened? Anyway, apparently the police, they're still not able to interview her. She's in some psychiatric hospital. I think she, you know, as I say, a lot of people use the mental health card. But personally, I think this girl, she definitely did have some sort of mental breakdown for whatever reason. Because she shaved her head, you know, as well. We saw that video where she walked into the local bar. So this is in Australia, of course, isn't it? She walked into a local bar with her head shaved and started screaming. You know, she definitely, you know, she's got problems going on in the police. As I say, they've not even been able to interview her yet. So we'll see what happens in this case. Now, she's got 3 dogs. I hope they're okay.
Star is accused of killing him before beheading and discarding his remains. Police in the SES this morning back searching the reserve. This time using 2 cadaver dogs to sniff out any other remains. Forensic police have seized a number of items from the reserve today, which will now be sent back to Adelaide to be examined and tested. Meanwhile, this pup unaware of the role he played in a complex police investigation.
He definitely will get a few extra treats.
Keziah Sullivan, 9 News.
I mean, they should get a reward, I think. You know, joking apart, saying on Vera, they should be on the payroll. Dog walkers should be on the payroll. But I think, you know, when people find some key pieces of evidence like this, they should get compensation. I don't know if they do or not. Because apart from anything, it's quite traumatic, isn't it? You know, traumatic to find someone's head. You know, a skull. I think it was a skull that he found. I mean, that's very traumatic. There should be some sort of, I don't know, compensation. How can I put it? Not exactly a reward, I'm not saying, but some sort of compensation for the trauma. You know, it is traumatic. I mean, not so much for the dogs. The dog's probably thinking, oh, what's all the fuss about? I'm going to put that on one more time. We're going to watch it all the way through. Without me waffling this time.
Walker has told of his surreal find, his dog stumbling across human remains in Port Lincoln Scrub, the missing piece in a murder investigation. Julian Story's family tonight awaiting forensic testing to confirm it is his skull that was uncovered by an unsuspecting local weeks after he was allegedly killed by his reality TV star girlfriend.
It was meant to be just a regular walk for Tyson McCullum and his dogs, but it was while walking through this reserve yesterday that Benji, the Beagalier, cracked a murder case.
Pretty surreal, to be honest. I just went in a bit closer and kind of made the connection pretty quickly as to what I thought it was.
Tyson's companion sniffing out what major crime detectives have been searching for weeks, the missing head of murder victim Julian's Story.
It was kind of just like, no way, like it's not what I think it is. Like, no, surely not. But it was just, yeah, too coincidental.
Tyson raised the alarm and a crime scene soon set up. Police are confident the remains belong to Julian, but forensic testing is still needed to confirm it and give his family some form of peace.
They've obviously been through, a lot. Can't even imagine it. So to have it, I guess, finalised, they can get some closure, which, hopefully will bring them some peace.
This a tragic but desperately needed breakthrough. Julian's partner, Tamika Chesser, a former Beauty and the Geek star, is accused of killing him before beheading and discarding his remains. Police in the SES this morning back searching the reserve. This time using 2 cadaver dogs to sniff out any other remains. Forensic police have seized a number of items from the reserve today, which will now be sent back to Adelaide to be examined and tested. Meanwhile, this pup unaware of the role he played in a complex police investigation.
He definitely will get a few extra treats.
Keziah Sullivan, 9 News.
So, now it's important to just a little bit of a qualifier there. The remains haven't been forensically tested yet. We're waiting for the forensic results, but the police must be completely confident that it is Julian for whatever reason. I mean, how many heads are you going to? I mean, you've got to hope that when a head is found, there's one person missing who's been one person's head missing, and the head is found. You've got to be 99% confident that it is their head. You wouldn't imagine or hope that there'd be other heads around. I mean, sometimes it happens, of course. I mean, the Gilgo Beach murders are an example, isn't it? They were looking for one woman and found a load of other bodies, and that does happen as well. But I think in this case, the police, they obviously must be 100% certain that this is him, because otherwise, they just wouldn't have released that information, would they? Okay, so that's the first story I wanted to tell you, or I thought you might find it interesting, because it's sort of good news. It's bad news, of course. Just the whole thing is bad news, isn't it? But it's good news that the head has been found. So the funeral can go ahead in a week or so, and the family can bury their loved one, with more respect and dignity than it would have been otherwise. I mean, it would have been it's traumatic enough, isn't it? A funeral, and the awful way that he died, but to have to have thought of burying the incomplete body, I just don't even know how families cope with these kind of things. Okay, so, right, I'm going to change over now, and we're going to look at, which one should we look at? I think we will look at this case of the Poisner pensioner next. This is going to be, when it all comes to light, this is, a real strange case, just generally, isn't it? What on earth would possess a 76-year-old man? Sorry, I'm just trying to put him up in the corner there. But I can't. Gone. Yeah, what on earth would possess, well, anybody really, but particularly I think a 76-year-old man who's supposed to be, charitable person, in charge or the secretary of a charity, what would possess them to give poison to young children who are at their summer camp? It's sort of beggars belief, really, doesn't it? I think this, out of all the cases, now obviously I talk about most of the cases I talk about are pretty crazy, aren't they, in themselves? But this is just, I think it's not only his age, and it just makes you wonder, as he's not just arrived at 76, surely, and then started doing horrible things to children. Surely, you know, he's done horrible things to children before. I don't know. To just suddenly arrive at that age and start poisoning children just seems very strange. And the fact that he's involved in a children's charity that's supposed to help disadvantaged children. Unfortunately, as we know, predators quite often gravitate towards those kind of jobs, don't they? Because that gives them, you know, gives them contact with vulnerable children and families, you know. And I do get this sort of Jimmy Savile feeling about this. It's like, you know, who is this guy? Why has he done it? And how did he think he would get away with it? It's got Erin Patterson vibes, hasn't it? It's like, you know, poisoning is, you know, how did he think he would get away with it? Poisoning all those children and one. I don't know if he poisoned everybody who was there. So, as I say, we don't know all the full details because this is a criminal investigation that will be leading to a conviction. Probably won't be that much that will come out about it again. But let's have a look at some of the news articles that are being said about it. So this is in the UK. And again, just shows you, you know, all these people that we're going to look at today, him and then Travis Decker, these are not people you would expect to do bad things. You know, these are like, you know, your guy next door. There he is. Jonathan Rubin. Now, people are talking about his religion. You know, is he Jewish, and would there be a religious motive? But, you know, that is pure speculation. Nobody knows that. You know, where it's like people do speculate. I don't even know that he is Jewish or whether he's done it to, you know, I just don't know, because we don't know the identities of the children who were poisoned. We don't know anything really. What we do know, though, is he's going through quite a bad time, which obviously is not an excuse for what he's done, but could be a reason. So this is the first picture of the pensioner charged in connection with the suspected poisoning at a children's summer camp. Jonathan Rubin, 76, was arrested on Monday after 8 children and an adult were taken to hospital as a precaution when they fell ill at the Leicestershire camp. All have since been discharged. The camp was being run by the Statham Children's Holiday Fund, SCHF, which provides school. Now, we looked at this the other day, didn't we? It provides school clubs or subsidised holidays for children from socially disadvantaged backgrounds. And Mr. Rubin apparently is a veterinary surgeon, but his business was dissolved last August, according to Companies House records, and he is listed as a trustee of the charity. Now, I read originally that he was the secretary of the charity, so it just goes to show you there'll be a lot of rumours flying around until really officially we hear the truth of what his connection was. We have to take a lot of, you know, was he a trustee? Was he a secretary? What was he? So Leicestershire Police this afternoon announced that Mr. Rubin had been charged with child cruelty offences. He will be charged with 3 offences of willful ill treatment of a child relating to 3 boys. Now, bearing in mind there were 8 children taken to hospital and 1 adult, as far as we've heard before. You know, why has he not been charged for the others? Or maybe they've just got more evidence about these 3. So he will appear before Leicester magistrates on Saturday. That's today, isn't it? I'll have a look to see if he's appeared yet. So the Daily Mail revealed on Thursday the suspect had been arrested in the car park of the Anchor Inn at Plumgar, 3 miles from Statham Lodge, the facility which staged the camp on Monday. So people have been at pains to say it's nothing to do with the actual site itself. It's to do with him. He's to do with the charity that rented the site to put on this summer camp. But again, full details will come out, won't they? This is the place, which looks like a concentration camp to me. I get very bad vibes off this place. I don't know. It just looks very, I don't know. It just gives me the creeps. Just gives me the complete creeps. So this is an aerial view of Statham Lodge in Canal Lane near Melton Mowbray in Leicestershire in the UK. Yeah, why does it look so creepy? So today, a Nottinghamshire police car remained outside Mr. Rubin's bungalow at affluent Ruddington on the edge of the city. Neighbours said there had been police activity at the property since Monday. A local resident who didn't want to be named said, "We haven't seen any white-suited forensic teams. But what we assume are detectives have been coming in and out and taking bags of stuff away." Eventually, we went and asked them because we were so worried. They were really tight-lipped, but eventually all they would say when we asked them the specific question was there hadn't been any loss of life. They said we would find out eventually, and on Thursday we did. So the neighbour said police had been at the address 24/7 since arriving on Monday. And he added, "The whole thing is a complete and utter shock. We gather he has run the charity for the long time. It's a wonderful cause. He does a lot of good work. He's a lovely guy. They are a lovely couple." Do you know, this is what we hear all the time, isn't it? These people, they walk amongst us. They are your neighbour next door. You know, your nice neighbour next door. Maybe your horrible neighbours, they're less likely to be twonks like this because they're openly twonks. These are like the ones that seem to be all nice and everything's fine and, you know, lovely couple, helping charity, etc. You know, just don't know. You really don't know. I do think it's time, you know, people stopped sort of thinking that predators look a certain way or have a certain religion or have a certain skin color or have a certain sexuality. We don't, you know, this guy is a predator one way or another if he's found guilty. Yeah. Ooh, it gives me the absolute chills. Oh my God, I've got shivers going down my spine. Anyways, innocent till proven guilty. We knew he was doing camps this summer, although we didn't know he was away at the weekend. We last saw him on Thursday last week. I think this is going to be a big case. I think there's going to be a lot coming out of this somehow. More than this. So the neighbours said, to be honest, we're hoping it is all a terrible mistake. And Janine McKinnick, Chief Crown Prosecutor for the East Midlands, said, the Crown Prosecution Service has authorised the prosecution of a 76-year-old man with child cruelty offences following a police investigation into a summer camp held at Statham Lodge, Leicestershire. This decision has been made after reviewing a file of evidence from Leicestershire Police. Jonathan Rubin will be charged with 3 offences of willful ill treatment of a child relating to 3 boys. He will appear at Leicester Magistrates Court on Saturday, August the 1st. This has been an extremely upsetting and shocking moment for the community, and especially for the children and parents most directly affected. So now she says, and of course it will all probably go pretty quiet now, we would like to remind all concerned there are now active criminal proceedings against Mr. Rubin, and he has the right to a fair trial. There must be no reporting, commentary or sharing of information online that may in any way prejudice these proceedings. The 8 children who were taken to hospital were all boys aged between 8 and 11. And a Leicestershire police statement said the charges follow a report received on Sunday that children at a summer camp being held at Stathen Lodge in Canal Lane, Stathen, near Melton, had become unwell. So we've got to wait and see for this one. You know, they're asking people don't speculate. It's very difficult not to speculate, though, isn't it? Stathen Lodge is owned by the Braithwaite Gospel Trust, a charity which provides facilities to groups who have the primary aims of advancing education, advancing the Christian religion, and giving help to the less well off. And trustee Jonathan Jesson confirmed that the facility was being used from by a group from Nottingham. And he said the trust owns the lodge. They let it to independent groups as self-catering hostel accommodation. And the charity was set up by a Christian farmer in the early 1970s. And part of his will dictated that Stathen Lodge would be used for the good of young people. Now, so this is curious. On Thursday, Leicestershire police said the suspect had been arrested on suspicion of administering poison or a noxious thing with intent to injure, aggrieve, or annoy. Poison or a noxious thing. So what is that? I mean, he's not cyanide or arsenic, because these children would be dead. So what is it? So they're calling it a complex and sensitive investigation. Then, of course, there was the problem with the initial police response. You know, the people had complained about that. So Leicestershire Police has referred itself to the IOPC. Yeah. And they'll look into that. So, yeah, there's a lot going to come out about this case, but not yet, is there? Because at the end of the day, now that it's going to a criminal proceedings, we probably won't get to know much for a little while now about what's going on. It'll all be going on behind the scenes. But this man is in custody. I hope he stays in custody as well. Surely they're not going to let him out on bail. You know, because to me, although nobody died, maybe he wasn't intending to kill, but this is a man in a position of trust and responsibility. Parents send off their children to summer camps, probably delighted that their children are going to get a little, you know, holiday type thing. Maybe they can't afford to take their children on holiday. These people prey on vulnerable families, don't they, that don't have much money. And, you know, the parents probably thought, oh, that's nice for the kids to go off and stay with other kids, and there's probably activities, etc. And then this happens. So when someone in a position of trust and responsibility, it's worse than anything, isn't it, at the end of the day? And, you know, as a 76-year-old man, you can't be saying, as I think I said yesterday, he's not an angry young man, is he, with teenage angst or whatever. He should know better at 76 than to be hurting children. So what do you think? So don't forget to let me know what you think in comments, because, you know, what we think, that's what we're here for. They might say no speculation, but you can't stop people from speculating. You may as well forget that. And that's not to do with social media. You know, I was thinking about it years ago. Do you know, things would still spread even though we didn't have social media years and years ago. And say even in my mum and dad's lifetime, they didn't have social media. They didn't even have telly or anything. Radio really probably was all they had. But things still spread. They still got to know what was going on, you know, famous cases that were going on. You know, they knew about my parents got to know about Dr. Crippen and other cases like that. I remember, like, when I was young, you know, we got to hear, there was newspapers, the telly, obviously, and radio. Things spread. And I was thinking about how this, maybe it's a funny example, it's not a crime actually, but if you ever watched Dallas, like in its heyday, the series Dallas, which I did, and we all loved it. The thing about Dallas TV series, American TV series with JR and all that, is everybody loved it, all ages. You know, I loved it. I was a teenager, but my parents loved it. You know, everybody watched it. It was on a Wednesday night. It was the only day of the week that I would stay in. You know, I used to go out every night, like when I was sort of in my teens, you know, 17, 18, etc. Every night I was out. And then Dallas, though, Wednesday night, that was the one night I'm not going out because Dallas is on. I loved it with so much. And then, of course, you'll probably remember, if you do remember it, the cliffhanger when JR got shot, and it was who shot JR. Everyone was talking about it. Well, we didn't even have social media then. You know, so it was like people still got to know about it all. It's still spread around. I think things do, you know, some things catch the public interest, whatever. And then going to, obviously that was a TV program, but even looking at crimes like the Sower murders or the Moors murderers, we didn't have social media then, but it's still, everybody got to know about it, the Yorkshire Ripper, etc. So, you know, you can't blame everything on social media. You know, they just can't. So we are going to speculate about this case. We're going to wonder what the hell happened, why this guy did what he allegedly did. And people are going to talk about it. And instead of just trying to pretend that people aren't going to speculate it, maybe they should just let it go. You know, let people speculate. At the end of the day, people speculate, and it's not prejudicing a trial or whatever. The trial is based on the evidence, and people will say things, whatever. Anyway, that's what I think. So, you know, I'm sick of hearing this all, don't speculate. And then, of course, nobody speculates more than the mainstream media, that's for sure. Okay, so that's that case. Don't forget to let me know what you think in comments. Yeah, exactly. Speculation is a natural thing. And what they've got to remember is in the beginning of these cases, always, especially missing persons cases, etc., and manhunts, like, you know, the police are always asking for the public's help. You can't ask for the public's help in one breath and then suddenly say, oh, well, actually, don't talk about it now. You know, you ask for the public's help, the public start talking about it. Quite often the public solves the case. That was a member of the public that found Julian Story's head. It wasn't the police. Most cases, many cases, are solved by the public or with help from the public. So you can't then just say, all right, well, thanks for your help, but now that's it, don't say anything. You know, that is human nature, to be inquisitive, to talk, to discuss, to speculate, to wonder. It's all human nature. So as long as it's not hurtful, or, you know, that's not like making things up completely either. So there is a difference between speculation and somebody on social media saying this happened, or making false videos or making false claims. That's different. I'm not talking about that. You know, I'm not going to come on here and say, oh, you know, Jonathan Rubin is such and such, when I don't even know that that's true. I might say, oh, so, you know, I've heard that it's possibly this, or I'm not going to go on there and say, oh, this is definitely. And some social media people do that, and I don't agree with that one. But speculation is a whole nother thing. So now we're going to look at the third case, which, of course, is Travis Decker. Now, this has started quite a lot. This is a couple of months, isn't it? This has been going on. How long is it going to go on for? We don't know. So these are Travis Decker's daughters, Peyton, Olivia and Evelyn, young girls, allegedly really, because, you know, It hasn't been proven, although the police are not looking for anybody else in connection with the murder of these 3 girls who had their hands tied behind their back with ties, those thingy ties, and plastic bags put over their head. And it's thought that their own father, Travis Decker, who had picked them up for a couple of hours, he had... can't even call it custody really, because he was allowed to have them for a couple of hours, wasn't he? And he'd pick them up for a couple of hours and just didn't return them. So the mum, Whitney, got worried, phoned the police. And when the police looked for Travis and the girls, they found the 3 girls deceased, murdered in a very brutal way. And it's thought that he did it because there was no other DNA at the scene except for the girls and for Travis's DNA. And he left his dog there. The dog was alive. So left the dog alive and murdered his children, allegedly. And since then, he has never been seen. Now, there's been false sightings of him, but he has actually never been seen. But when the Devil's Den murders happened, quite a distance away from where Travis Decker was last seen, but not, at the end of the day, people can travel around, can't they? And it was thought that there was a possibility, like we discussed it, I thought it straight away, but I find from these videos that I'm going to show you now, even the police chief thought there was a possibility. Lots of people contacted him about it, because these people that you see on these hiking trails, with the way they're dressed up for hiking and that, quite often they look very similar, don't they? So it's easy to mistake someone. And we're going to have a look as well at a guy being interviewed who he was one of, because there's been 2 previous suspected sightings that turned out to be nothing. And of course, the police have to investigate. If I phoned up and said I'd seen them, the police have got to investigate sightings, haven't they? If I'd been on the trail, I mean, obviously not if I phoned up from Spain, but if I'd been on that trail and I thought I'd seen Travis, the police have to investigate it. They can't just say, oh no, it probably wasn't him. They've got to investigate every tip that they get. So they've just recently had another one. This will be the 3rd one, but we're going to see a guy being interviewed who he was one of the ones, that was thought to be Travis. So we're going to get his point of view as well. It's quite interesting, actually. So, okay, where are we going to start? Actually, I'm going to put some windows down. Before I do anything, I'm going to put some windows down. Oh yeah, and don't forget at the end, I just want to don't forget to watch to the end, because then you'll get to find out what this is all about. This is what you've got to look forward to. So after these sort of, crime stories are always a bit doom and gloom, we're going to be looking at a bit of a lighter story at the end, if you can face it. Make sure you're not having your lunch at the time, that's all. We are going to be looking at what this story is all about. So, first of all, let's look at the sheriff, the very handsome sheriff, the Richard Gere lookalike sheriff that is in charge of this operation. Gosh, he's a very good-looking guy, isn't he? Very, very handsome. I know that's got nothing to do with it. It's just a human thing that I'm saying. He's absolutely drop-dead gorgeous. We'll look to see what he's got to say about this latest sighting.
Ex-Army infantryman who picked up his little girls ages 9, 8, and 5 from their mom's house in late May and allegedly murdered them soon after.
So don't forget, he's ex-army. He's supposed to have some skills in survivalism, etc. So it's thought that he would be capable of living in the wild, but is he still alive? Is he, or is he deceased somewhere? And then somebody left a comment on one of my videos about a case that I'd never heard of, Jeremiah Button, who apparently was another guy that was on the run, and he was on the run for 2 years or something. I am definitely going to highlight that in a video. And nobody knew what had happened to him. He was on the run for incest and some various sex charges. And he just turned up, and he'd been hiding all that time in a bunker. Is Travis in a bunker?
Their bodies were found with plastic bags over their heads at a campground in Washington State. And Decker hasn't been seen since, maybe because he too is dead by his own hands or otherwise, but maybe because somebody's helping him stay alive, helping him stay invisible. And that brings me to the lawman overseeing the search for Travis Decker in Washington State, Chelan County Sheriff Mike Morrison. Welcome back to the program, trying to figure out exactly what's going on here and why we can't find him. So why are you so convinced that Decker probably has help out there? Is that just a working theory, or do you have information to support it?
Yeah, it's a working theory. It's certainly something we've taken into consideration, and we really appreciate the U.S. Marshal Service still taking point, overseeing the search outside. We did have our swiftwater rescue team was out yesterday on the creek, still searching the area in the case that he is deceased, but we're still taking consideration as a possibility he's out there. And if that's the case, someone's assisting him.
What are some of the scenarios that you can run through with us? His friends or some anti-police types are helping him, or maybe he's forcing someone to help him hide. Out of all of those scenarios, what do you think is most likely?
Well, there's always individuals out there just sympathetic to those in need or those facing challenges. I think we look back towards Ted Bundy. There were people reaching out to him when he was in prison, wanting to have relationships with him. So, we understand that there are individuals out there who will oversee evil, and we'll try to support those individuals, and we're not in support of that. So, we're certainly looking for the public's help. We understand the majority of our county, state, and nation are not those kind of individuals, but there are a small percentage out there that may be out there assisting him, and we want to make sure that if that is the case, we have as many people as possible working against them.
Do you get a...
Yeah, that's interesting what he says, isn't it? There are people out there that will help people like him. Now, I don't personally think, you think, God, who would help someone who'd murdered 3 daughters? And that's what I've said, David, what you said, I've said it right from the beginning. I think he is deceased, but why he's not around close by where the girls are, but maybe he's closer than they think. Maybe they just haven't found him. Maybe he's in the water, because there's a river nearby, isn't there? And that, but yeah, I would have thought they'd all be found together. And then, of course, if it wasn't for the fact that only his DNA has been found on the scene, this part of me thinks, well, maybe he didn't do it. Would he have, maybe somebody else did it, but what was he doing there? And the police say that it's only his DNA that they've found at the scene and on the plastic bags that were over the girls' heads, etc. So, you can't imagine it. You can't envisage that a father could do that, but unfortunately they do things like that. So I think we have to presume, after what the police said about the DNA and everything, there it was him who did it. But then where is he? And if he is on the run, what's the point of it? Has he gone to Canada? Because he talks about going to Canada. I can't see, surely he wouldn't go to another part of America. Would he? What would be the point of that? What does he think he's just going to be on the run forever? It's a real mystery, isn't it? Where is he? Surely nobody's helping him. Who would help him? Who would help him after he'd murdered, his 3 daughters? Now, you can see that sometimes, anti-state people might, like if he'd robbed a bank, or if he'd done credit card fraud, or, something, or some even terrorism, you know, because anti the state, you can see there'd be people out there that might, you know, support him because, but surely not. Nobody would support somebody who'd killed those 3 little innocent girls. You know, surely not. Unless there's a what, you know, women. Quite often, sorry, women, unfortunately, it makes me ashamed to be a woman sometimes. Like he was saying about Ted Bundy, lots of, you know, famous, if you like, or infamous killers end up with a fan club, don't they? Not just women, to be honest, men as well. You know, school shooters get a little fan club, don't they, of other disaffected teenagers who think they're brilliant, you know. So maybe that, but do people really ever get a fan club if they've killed little children like that? Has Chris Watts got a fan club? I don't know. Well, there's definitely an anti-Shannon movement, isn't there? You know, his wife that Chris Watts killed. You know, everyone seems to think it's her fault. Or not everyone, but a lot of idiots out there. You know, as if it's got anything to do with her, even if she was bossy, even if she was this, that, or the other. He did it. He did it. She didn't do it. So, you know, you do get that. I appreciate that. But maybe it's just I can't get my head around anybody would support somebody who had murdered 3 little girls.
Sense from all the law enforcement involved here and yourself that he is still in your area, assuming he's alive. I understand you're 90 miles from the Canadian border. So when we take a look at the map and the scenarios, you think he's still around?
There's the potential there. And I mean, but we're still getting calls coming in. I saw you just covering the Arkansas case, and we have some individuals reaching out to us just based off the sketch that was provided that they're 100% positive it was Travis. So.
Well, there you go. So it wasn't just me that was thinking that, because I said, straight away, I thought, oh God, that looks like Travis. You know, the sketch, the baseball cap, the fact that, you know, you think how many nutters are there walking around national parks? So, you know, they obviously got lots of people ringing up and saying, oh, this must be Travis. But it wasn't Travis, was it? It was another twonk altogether. There were more than one twonk wandering around National Park.
We're going to continue to follow up on leads. I really congratulate law enforcement on their work down there in Arkansas for taking that suspect into custody, making their community safer. And we just had our agency to the north of us up there in Okanagan County with Sheriff Boudreaux that just found the remains of their homicide suspect from 3 years ago. That was also a grisly murder, but you brought closure to the community, and that's what we're looking for here for Chelan County.
Yeah, what was that? I need to look at that case, because he was saying that somewhere they just found the remains of a homicide suspect from 3 years ago or something. Just go back. And yeah, I agree with you, David. He could be anywhere, couldn't he? He could be absolutely anywhere, like Rachel's killer, Victor the Viper. He travelled all the way around America. And it's funny, isn't it, really? Because, of course, you know, in America, there's all these problems at the moment over immigrants and stuff, and they shouldn't be able to travel between states. But he's not an immigrant. He could travel across state boundaries. Maybe states should have a passport control, for not only for immigrants, but for everybody. Do you know what I mean? You know, he's him, any other killer, whether they're American, immigrant, or whatever they are, can just travel around America with impunity. And America is a bloody massive place. And Rachel Marin's killer managed to do it. He didn't even have a car. He did it on Greyhound buses, etc. So, you know, maybe they could tighten up everybody's passport. Well, not passport control, but, you know, the control for everybody to travel between states. Because, of course, what's the first thing you would do if you committed a crime in a certain state in America? You'd go over to another state. Of course you would. That's just, you know, you'd do that because you won't want to get caught.
Murder, but you brought closure to the community, and that's what we're looking for here for Chelan County. And we're not, it was also a grisly murder, but you brought closure to the community up there in Okanagan County with Sheriff Boudreaux that just found the remains down there in Arkansas for taking that suspect into custody, making their community safer. And we just had our agency to the north of us up there in Okanagan County with Sheriff Boudreaux.
What did he say? Okanagan County?
And we just had our agency to the north of us up there in Okanagan County.
I'm going to have to put the subtitles on a minute.
Their community safer. And we just had our agency to the north of us up there in Okanagan County with Sheriff Boudreaux that just found the remains of their homicide suspect from 3 years ago. That was also a grisly murder, but you brought closure to
Oakland County Sheriff Boudreaux. So some suspects they've only just found after years.
The community, and that's what we're looking for here for Chelan County. And we're not taking anything off the table. We recognize there's a possibility he could still be in our area, but there's also the outside possibility that he's somewhere in our U.S., if not the international territories.
Yeah, and if somebody's helping them, they could be in all kinds of trouble. I'm wondering if you could leave us with a message to the person or the people who are helping Travis Decker. What would you say to them right now?
If they're out there assisting him, it's not going to work out. We're not going to give up. We have men and women in uniform across the United States that are willing and able to take that challenge on alongside us. And he will be taken into custody. And if you're assisting him, you'll sit in court with him.
Wow. And finally, how's the family doing? If you could give me a quick answer.
They're doing as best as possible. I mean, certainly this is a tragic situation. It's not going to be something they recover from anytime soon. I know the Wenatchee Police Department has really been the point of contact with the family, ensuring that they have any information they need. But the Chelan County Sheriff's Office is still here in support of them. We recognize that Peyton, Evelyn, and Olivia's voices are still resonating in our minds, and we won't rest until we have closure to the case.
It's just so devastating, the whole thing. We are wishing you the best, you and your officers, and the U.S.
Oh, I mean, look at these little ones. Just how, and so that's the mum, Whitney. Don't know how she's coping. As I've said before, she must be terrified he's going to turn up to try and get her as well. But would she, you know, she's lost these three girls. You know, she's lost everything that they were going to offer in the future. You know, she won't see them go to school, you know, graduate from school. She won't see them, you know, get boyfriends, get married, have children. She's not going to have any grandchildren unless she has another child with someone. You know, it's just what this man has done is unbelievably cruel and foul. You know, really is. How they could look those little girls in the face and then do what he did to them. I just don't know.
Marshall, so glad that they are involved. Sheriff, thank you so much for being with us tonight. We appreciate your time.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our News Nation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.
So, yeah. You know, so what? Is he deceased? Do you think he'll be found? Let me know what you think in comments. Do you think he's still alive? Do you think he's in a bunker somewhere? Do you think someone's trying to help him? Or do you think he is deceased and he just hasn't been found yet, like that other person that he was talking about in the neighbouring county that wasn't found for 2 years? Could he, you know, is this going to turn into a case where he won't be found for a couple of years? His remains won't be, will they ever be found? You know, because, you know, it's hard to find remains, isn't it? I think that's one thing we have learnt, isn't it? That it's hard to find remains. It's not, you know, you don't just go out, even with the cadaver dogs or whatever you've got, normally got, especially in areas like that are massive. And then you've got water to deal with. You've got, you know, where is he? Where is this guy? Just speechless. Anyway, so I will let you know, of course, anytime there is any news about him, and just a little bit of, it's a very small bit of breaking news, if you like. You know, we were seeing that the guy, Jonathan Rubin, the twonk that has poisoned the children who are alive. I mean, the only good thing we can say about this case is these children did not die. God. Anyway, he's been remanded into custody. So he appeared in court this morning. He's not been released. Thank God. He's been remanded into custody with child and charged with these child cruelty offences. So he appeared at the Leicester Magistrates Court this morning. Oh, God, why is that doing that? It's acting up. Oh, spinning. Don't know why it's doing this. So he appeared in court this morning and he's been remanded in custody. And he spoke only to confirm his name, his age and his address. And that's it, really. So there's not really much else to say. But the important thing to know is he's not been released on bail. He has been remanded into custody. So, right, let's have something a little bit lighter now. Oh, I know what. Sorry, I haven't shown this. I forgot to show this. This is the hiker, or one of the hikers. I presume there was another one because there's been two sightings, alleged sightings of Travis. This is one of the people that was mistaken for Travis.
5:24 this morning, and it's now been more than a month since the manhunt began for Travis Decker, the man accused of killing his 3 young daughters near Leavenworth. In that time, law enforcement has investigated dozens of reported sightings, including one that led to a large-scale search in Idaho. Now, that search was called off just days ago when U.S. Marshals discovered it was actually not Decker, but a case of mistaken identity. The sighting turned out to be this man who was hiking in the Sawtooth National Forest over the 4th of July.
Thing is, they all look the same, you know, the beard and the stubble and whatever in the baseball cap. If you saw them from a distance, and of course, you know, people that see them, they don't know Travis personally. Travis it'd be easy for him to change his identity. So I think there's going to be a lot of false sightings, unfortunately. But in my personal opinion, I'd be surprised if Travis is still alive, but he could be.
By weekend, he says he wasn't even aware of the search until a friend said something to him when he returned home.
And he sent me a news article, and it described, and I had that photo, and it described a sighting, and this manhunt sparked off out of our campsite when we were there. Your instinct isn't to think that was me. So my first thought was, oh my God, we spent the night next to a murderer. That is frightening.
The hiker, who is only...
It didn't even occur to him that the person they were talking about was him. So he's thinking, oh God, we've spent the night next to a murderer, but they were talking about him. It just didn't even cross his mind that he might be the person that they said they'd seen.
Giving his first name, says that he called authorities after learning that the search was focused on him. Officers came to his work and questioned him, then determined the reported sighting was him and not Decker. Despite the circumstances, Nick wants to make it clear that the people who called the tip line did the right thing.
My opinion, I don't really look like the guy. Granted, they saw me from a distance.
Yeah. He doesn't look like him when you get close up to him, but from a distance, of course he looks like him. Sunglasses, baseball cap, stubble or beard. Of course he looks like him. Hey! It'd be easy, wouldn't it, to think it was him, seeing him from a distance. Yeah, when you see him close up like that, now we know it's not him, so obviously it's not him, but yeah. Be easy to mistake him for Travis.
But just be careful, because this has been a little bit tumultuous for me and people around me and disruptive at work. Yeah. But I would encourage people to do that.
A reward is being offered for information that leads to the arrest of Travis Decker. Right now, it appears there's only been one sighting, which was back on Blewett Pass in June.
No, there's been 2. There's definitely been 2. And now there's been a 3rd one. So, yeah. God, it'd be awful, wouldn't it, to be mistaken for him as well? Because what if somebody decided to take justice into their own hands and try and arrest him? He'd be thinking, what? What the hell's going on? Okay, so we're going to find out I know you're dying to know what is going on here. What the hell is going on here? Now, this is from a YouTube channel called Neighborhood Wars. It's really good. It's really interesting. Interesting. Please go and subscribe to it. I've subscribed to it. I think I have anyway. Yeah, I have. Because it's so interesting. And this video is taken from Top 8 Moments from Illinois. So I want to put it back to the beginning. What do you think that guy is doing? Now we're going to find out.
Something moving in the shadows. A strange-looking man approaches the porch. But rather than knocking, he sets up a tripod and camera. To add to suspicion, the man is wearing little more than a long black coat, and the temperature is dropping to 14 degrees.
So this has been caught on like door cam. So the guy's come up there, put a tripod up there. And then he's hardly wearing anything. Well, you saw that tankini thing he was wearing. Wait and see what he does.
But what's this? Looks like the temperature is not the only thing dropping, as the stranger removes his coat, revealing a sexy, strappy undergarment underneath.
No, I'm not being funny, but you know, even Chippendales don't look nice in tankinis. I don't think. No, as a woman, I don't know, maybe it's a turn on in a different world to the one I live in, but you know, to me, I'd rather see a man in a suit and tie. It's much more, you know, and this guy, he hasn't, you know, with respect, he's not exactly a Chippendale, is he? So he hasn't got the best body in the world. But I don't think these things even look nice on men with nice bodies. You know, it's just like not nice. It's just not sexy, is it? But anyway, he obviously thinks he's sexy. Well, good for him. Good for him. So he's got this tankini on. He's gone to this doorway. He doesn't live there. He's gone there because it's got good lighting, because it's got a porch light on, and he can take a good photo there. That's why he's there. And he's gone there with his tripod to pose for whatever to send to someone, I suppose. It's just, honest to God, when we talk about being a crazy world. Now, he's not doing any harm to anybody. He's not hurting anybody. We've got to remember that, you know, in comparison to a lot of the cases that we talk about and the twonks we talk about, he's not doing any, you know. But having said that, you wouldn't want him at your door, would you? At your porch, using your porch light to take some selfies.
Most houses on this street are still under construction. This porch has the only bright light in the neighborhood, which may explain why this poser is choosing this doorstep for his erotic photo shoot.
It looks like a boiled egg. It looks like a boiled egg in a tankini. I mean, it's just... He must think he's got a nice bottom, mustn't he? He must be proud of his bottom. Because, you know, I mean, he's got beer belly at the end of the day. You know, people with beer belly shouldn't wear tankinis like that. I'm sorry. It's like, I wouldn't wear a tankini like that. Do you know, like, I don't even think, as I say, attractive, like Chippendale types. To me, it's not sexy, whoever wears it. It's revolting, actually. But especially, has he got gloves on? He's got gloves on. Oh, he looks like Humpty Dumpty. He looks like Humpty Dumpty, but he's obviously proud of his ass because he's turned his ass to the phone and he's taking pictures of his ass to obviously say, I mean, is it Hugh Edwards? I thought it was Hugh Edwards at first. Oh my God, because that picture of Hugh Edwards with his backside to the camera, I've shown it on the members. I've still got it somewhere on my phone. My eyes haven't recovered from it. Is it Hugh Edwards? It's just like a porkier version of Hugh Edwards.
While setting up for another shot, he turns and gives the doorbell camera a rare glimpse at 2 full moons.
2 full moons. So it's got gloves on, it's got great big boots on, and a bobby hat. So what the hell? What the hell? Well, I don't know what this tattoo is. I'm not even going to try and go there. I don't want to know what it is. But honestly, when I watched it, I was just hysterical laughing. It certainly made me laugh.
The poser doesn't stick around to meet the neighbors after his selfies, instead grabbing his tripod and slinking off into the night. Nor does he make an attempt to meet the neighbors when he comes back 2 weeks later. Instead, he takes more selfies, although this time in a more conservative sweatshirt and thong. According to the homeowners, this man is finally caught a couple weeks later while posing on a different neighbor's doorstep. He is arrested and charged with trespassing and indecent exposure. And although the police don't think he poses a threat, neighbors just wish he'd stop posing altogether.
Doesn't pose a threat. How? No, I'm sorry. How can he think he looks good? Doesn't look good. Surely, tell me somebody, does anybody look at that? Whatever your sexuality is, whatever your age is, whatever your thing is, surely there's nobody can say that is attractive. Is it? Or is it me? Maybe it's me. Maybe I'm cold. I don't know. But just how can you think that that's attractive? Oh, no. So we're going to watch it one more time.
Shot.
Do you know
he
what?
Turns.
He'd probably be happy knowing that the whole world is looking at his video. I don't know. Surely, oh my God. Surely he knew there was a door cam there. So he's picked this house because it's got a good porch light. So think about that when you leave your porch light on. Don't, because you might have someone. I mean, look at these boots. Oh, come on.
Tripod and camera. To add to suspicion, the man is wearing little more than a long black coat, and the temperature is dropping to 14 degrees. But what's this? Looks like the temperature is not the only thing dropping, as the stranger removes his coat, revealing a sexy, strappy undergarment underneath. Since most houses on the street are still under construction, this porch has the only bright light in the neighborhood, which may explain why this poser is choosing this doorstep for his erotic photo shoot. While setting up for another shot, he turns and gives the doorbell camera a rare glimpse at 2 full moons. The poser doesn't stick around to meet the neighbors after his selfies.
This is the 3rd time I've watched it. So, in fact, 4th probably by now. Maybe.
Instead, grabbing his tripod and slinking off into the night. Nor does he make an attempt to meet the neighbors when he comes back 2 weeks later. Instead, he takes more selfies, although this time in a more conservative sweatshirt and thong. According to the homeowners, this man is finally caught a couple weeks later while posing on a different neighbor's doorstep. He is arrested and charged with trespassing and indecent exposure.
The way he checks out the camera angle that then comes back. Oh, my God. See, the thing is, if he's got a beer belly, then maybe from the back he thinks he can pretend he's slim because you know what beer bellies are like. So he's got, I suppose his legs are relatively slim, aren't they? So, you know, he obviously thinks he's got a brilliant ass and nobody will see his beer belly. I notice he doesn't do a sideways pose.
And although the police don't think he poses a threat, neighbors just wish he'd stop posing altogether.
He just thinks he's got a brilliant ass, doesn't he? Well, I've got news for you. You have not. You have not. Oh, that, as I say, that's 4 times I've watched it. I've got to go and make lunch now. I won't be having salami, that's for sure. Oh, Heather. Oh, my God. Oh, there's one in the park. There's one in the park near Mrs. David. Let's have a look. What do you say? A family member saw a similar event in the park at night at Mrs. Dave's area when the guy saw he was being watched. So what, he was taking... Why would you go outside to take selfies? Why can't you do it in the privacy of your bedroom? You know, to take these... well, I want to say sexy selfies, but that's not right, is it? Because they're not sexy. Why would you go to a park and do it? You know, and a park, you know, oh, come on. So it's a crazy old world. It is a crazy old world for many, many different reasons. What people are up to out there, you know, it makes your, you know, we've all got our... Oh, God, I left those poor girls up there. I shouldn't have done that. We've all got our strange ways, haven't we? You know, we've all got our little... I don't know how to explain it. Nothing like that, I like. But don't we all have our proclivities, what we like, what we don't like, or I don't know. But you do it in the privacy of your own home, don't you? Don't go out and inflict it on other people. You know, it's like got the internet now. You can just do it over the internet with other people who like the things you like, who might like your horrible ass or your beer belly or whatever. You don't have to go out and inflict it on the world, do you? You can do it in privacy. Oh, dear me. Anyway, that made us laugh at the end of all those other stories, which, of course, are not funny. Thank you for watching. Now, listen, thank you, Heather, for the Ko-fi. Thank you so much. You're very kind. You're always very kind. Thank you. I hope you're all going to have a brilliant weekend. So we'll be chopping this video up. I'm going to take those poor little girls' picture out as well of that. Didn't realise I'd left their picture up. So, and I will be, I don't think I've released that video actually, though I'm sure, you know, because what I normally do is I do the live with all the different stories that we talk about, and then I split it up into smaller sections for people who don't like the waffle. Not everybody likes the waffle. So I may not even put that up, to be honest. But if I do, I'll definitely be taking the girls' picture of it. I hope you've got a nice weekend ahead of you. Thank you, as always, for watching. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. And why not become a member? I'm going to put up my banner. I think we'll play out. Yeah, thank you. I think I'm going to find a song to play out with. We played the Spanish one yesterday, so I'm going to play a different one. What have we got? Maybe one of me singing. Again, just to cheer us up, because we should finish. But, you know, I don't know if it will cheer you up. You probably think, oh my God, not her singing again. But, yeah, just a bit of fun. I think most of them are members. Oh, let's have a look at the doll video. We'll have a look at the doll video and the mushroom video. I'll see you really soon in the next video. And until then, may your God go with you. Bye. Oh, remember the dolls. I haven't set this to music, actually. I need to set this to music.